Hi there. I just wanted to take a quick minute and talk to you a little bit about staying on your path to guitar playing. Some things that I want you to think about a little bit. And the second thing I'm going to talk about after that is some small practice tips to maybe try and help you a little bit when you're frustrated or you're not exactly sure what it is that you should be doing and that sort of thing. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about maintaining your path, your practice path. Guitar playing, just like most things, can get really frustrating sometimes, and it's really, really important that you try and stay as positive as you can. And there's some things I want to talk about real quick for you to avoid, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to try as hard as you can to avoid competition, okay? Now, at certain points in our life, competition can be very beneficial to us because it pushes us to get better. But oftentimes when we first start learning things and we're figuring out the fundamentals of whatever it is we're working with, competition can be really frustrating for us because we look around and we see other people and we think, I'll never be as good as that, or they're already so much further ahead of me, or whatever it might be. And you have to keep reminding yourself that that kind of thought isn't really going to get you to where you want to go. And you have to remember that when you're thinking that about somebody else, chances are that somebody else was in the same spot that you were at some point. Now, if we were to take that person and put them in another situation, in another room with another group of people, they may be the person that is now, the one trying to play catch up with everybody else. So the most important thing, and I know it's hard to do, but the most important thing is you've got to keep a positive frame of mind and remind yourself that your guitar journey is about you. It's not about the person next to you or, the person that you see on a video or whatever it might be. It's got to be about you, okay? So the first thing is always having a positive attitude about your practice. Now, we all get frustrated with practice itself, but if we let outside competition with people get in the way, we're just constantly frustrated with our abilities. And the problem is, to be honest with you, when it comes to something like guitar, there is no winner. There is no, well, that person's the best at everything. There's no such thing. We just have to find where we exist in this whole world of music, right? I mean, if you take a look at someone like Bob Dylan, and then you take a look at someone like B.B. King, and then you take a look at someone like Eddie Van Halen, they're all vastly different players, but they're all making music. They're just doing it in different ways on their guitar and with their voice and with their songwriting and all kinds of different things. So none of us have the same goals. We all have something different that we're looking for, and you have to try and remember that. So you've got to try and avoid, direct competition that's always bringing you down. When you get to a place in your playing where maybe competition is good because it's elevating your playing and your practicing and all that sort of thing, that's fine. But if it's not doing that, you need to try and avoid it. And the problem is in an industry like music, like guitar playing, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people tend to view it as constant competition, and it just isn't that. I remember being in high school and thinking I was such a good guitar player because everybody kept telling me and everybody that I was around I was better than them. And then I went to college and found out that I didn't know anything. I mean, what I thought I knew, I was so low on the the ladder of ability. I met all these other players that were just so astonishingly good. And now I've been playing my whole life. I can go out on YouTube and find some 8-year-old kid from another country that plays a million times better than I do. So it can't be about that. It's got to be about you. My playing is about me and making me happy, and hopefully I can inspire other people along the way. But it's not about whether or not I'm the best at whatever. It can't be that, because that's something I can never live up to, and you shouldn't either. So that's the first part. The second part is your practice routine. Now, I normally tell everybody, practice on the days that you eat. Okay, it's a great motto to have. You may not have a lot of time, but it's that consistency of practice that makes a big difference in your playing. Okay, so you've always got to be realistic and ask yourself, honestly, could I have gotten more time in yesterday to practice? Could I have dedicated more time yesterday or last week or whatever it might be to practicing? And the answer is almost always going to be yes. We can find reasons to not practice, but the truth is, if we're looking at practicing 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it might be, we can find time. We just have to make the time. We have to validate the time for us to want to do it. You know, we can always find excuses. I was too busy with this and whatever. But if you really want to do it, you always find time to eat, right? You always find time to do the things that you really want to do. You might jump on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be. You find time for those things. Well, you have to make guitar practice an important part of your day and find time. You might do a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the afternoon, a few minutes in the evening, or whatever your schedule allows. But you have to ask yourself that. So when we're looking at tomorrow and we're thinking about practicing, we have to make it an important thing. So we say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to spend X amount of time. And maybe even define that time. Maybe even write it in on a calendar, right? Or whatever it is we need to do to make sure that we are willing to dedicate our time and not just keep blowing it off. Because I'm telling you, this instrument requires consistent daily practice. Now, again, if you miss a day here or a day there, it's not, the end of the world at all. I'm just saying the more you can become consistent at it and make it a daily routine, the more successful you're going to be with your practice. Where if you practice once a week, it's just you're not going to get out of it what you want. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. And then the last thing with this is understanding what you're practicing. Go in with a game plan. And I know sometimes that's hard depending on what it is that you're working on. Let's just say you're working on a few chords, right? So you've got 5 chords that you're working on or something like that. And you're feeling overwhelmed because none of the chords are very good, right? You're having a hard time making them and you can't switch them very well. And then you got strumming and all these things. What you need to do is you need to break down into the smallest possible element what is wrong and what can you do to make it better, right? So if you were looking at something like a D chord, for instance, and you're having a really hard time, or whatever chord, a bar chord or whatever it might be, and you're having a hard time making it, you have to understand, well, what can I do to get better at this? Well, the first thing is I'm going to find a place to go practice where I'm not distracted by the kids or the TV or my phone or whatever it might be. And I'm going to put some real thought into this. I'm going to really focus. And with my students, I've always referred to it as focused practicing. Practicing can become less beneficial when we're just noodling and we're not really paying attention. Now, again, there are times that's a wonderful thing to do. But when we're focused, we have an outcome that we want. We have an idea that we want to try and get better at. So right now my idea is this chord, whatever the chord is. So I'm thinking about how it looks, right? Visualization is the key. If I can see it, I can play it. I might not be good at it, but I can play it. If I can't see it, if it's not in my head, I can't play it. So I've got to be able to see that chord in my head. So I'm looking down at my guitar, I see that D chord. Okay? That's step one. Again, it might be a scale, it might be a song, it might be it could be all kinds of different things, but if I can't visualize it in my head, I really am going to have a really difficult time playing it. So I've got to see it, okay? So I'm seeing that D chord sitting right there. The next thing I've got to do is I've got to play it. I've got to apply the technique of creating whatever it is that I'm trying to do. So I make this D chord, okay? And then what I need to do is I need to practice with chords in particular. I'm going to practice bouncing, which is picking my fingers up and setting it back down. I'm going to train my fingers to make the chord that I want. I'm using muscle memory to train my fingers to make this chord. Okay? It's really important. So again, it's not how fast I can do it. It's not, I'm only going to do this for 12 seconds. The point is, I want to walk away from today being better at D or a bar chord or whatever it might be by practicing it and understanding what my problem is, right? When I make this chord, maybe my middle finger isn't functioning as well, or I'm making a scale and my pinky isn't doing what it needs to be doing, or whatever it might be. Well, then that's what I need to work on. So again, it's not how fast can I get through my practice. It's how well can I do with my practice. So here's my D chord. I'm thinking about it. I'm looking at it. I'm visualizing it. I'm concentrating. I'm not, sidetracked by something that my phone or whatever. And I'm really just practicing making this over and over and over. And I might do this for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But again, it's not, well, let me get it done really quick because I have 4 other chords to get to. No, no, no. Today is about this chord. Or for this X amount of time, it's about this chord. It's about getting this because this chord will never go away. You'll be using it for the rest of your life. So I need to get it. Okay, I need to get better at that. Okay, so I practice it, and I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. Okay, so I practice making it over and over and over. I'm bouncing it, everything like that, developing the chord. I'm concentrating. My brain is in on what I'm doing. My fingers are making the chord that I want, all this sort of thing. Okay, then what I start doing is maybe choosing another chord, and I do the same thing. And then I start moving back and forth between those chords. Okay, and practicing bouncing between these chords to get comfortable. That's why it's important to practice chords that we use a lot together. 1, 4, 5 stuff, if you know what that is, like G, C, and D. Those 3 chords go together a lot. A, D, and E. Those 3 chords go together a lot. C, F, and G. You know, just common things like that. Now, again, eventually you'll have other chords and other chord progressions and all kinds of different things, but the same rules apply. You know, if I'm learning how to play a song, it's really just a matter of visualizing, understanding what I want, and then practicing the technique of execution of what I want. And then once I get comfortable with all that, I work on the output, how it sounds, how comfortable does it sound, how smooth does it sound, how accurate does it sound to a listener. But I'm not worried about that until I can visualize what I want, I can see what I want, and I've put in enough practice breaking down all the aspects of whatever it is I'm trying to play. Okay? So it's really important every day to have yourself small goals, baby steps, small wins, whatever you want to call it, but where every day you've got an idea. Maybe it's a week. Maybe you're thinking of it in terms of weeks. By the end of this week, I'm going to have X done or X better than it was the week before. But what is X? Right? Is it one thing, a chord, or 3 things, 3 chords that create a progression, or a song, or whatever it might be, okay? So it's really important to be able to think about that. So we've got putting ourselves in the right frame of mind by not being negative, okay, and understanding that this is a lifelong journey. You don't get good at guitar in 2 weeks and then you're done. It goes on forever. There's always something new that you can do. So the competition thing, being careful of all that sort of thing. The second thing is being able to really understand that it's a daily practice. It's something you've got to dedicate time to because your only other option is to not play, right? I mean, you're either going to get better or you're going to not progress and you're going to ultimately wind up quitting. And we don't want that. You don't want that and I don't want that. So we have to just take baby steps and keep getting a little bit better and a little bit better. You know, if you've got somebody around you that's better than you for whatever reason, use that as best you can as an inspiration. And if it's not an inspiration, you've got to learn how to kind of block that out of your brain because it can be really detrimental to your playing, okay? And then we've got the actual practice part. Visualize what you want on your fretboard. Visualize it in your head. So even if you're at work or at school or whatever it might be and you don't have your guitar, you can see the D chord in your head. You can see the A chord or the bar chord or, you know, how a song, you know, the parts of a song or whatever it might be. Visualization is a wonderful tool that we can use when our guitar is not available. We can think, right? We can visualize. It's really important. And then once we've got that, then we're going to apply what we've been thinking about to the guitar. So we grab the guitar, and now we've got to work on the physicality of using our fingers on the guitar, making chords or making scales or synchronizing our hands or whatever it might be, okay? Now, again, I know that's kind of a generalization, and I've got lots of videos available that can help you with different things because everybody's different, you know, and planning, understanding what a daily practice or a weekly practice is or how it can benefit you the most can be hard to figure out at first. You know, what do you need more than other things to achieve your goals? Because in the guitar playing world, we are constantly bombarded with different ideas and different things to practice and different things we like and different songs we want to play. And all of a sudden we wind up with just this insurmountable amount of stuff that we feel like we're supposed to be practicing, and we don't have enough time for everything. Well, we've got to weed through all that and find the best stuff, and that's what we need to try and work on. So don't give up. Don't get so frustrated that you don't want to play at all. It's just overwhelming. If you get frustrated, that's okay. If you get really frustrated, stop for a while, go do something else, reassess what you're trying to do, and then come back. And again, try and make a small win, right? Try and make a little goal and try and develop that a little bit. So keep that in mind. And, if you ever need help, reach out as best you can. It's not always easy for me to respond to everybody, but I do the best I can. But there's lots of people that can help you. Find friends in the guitar community, real friends, right? Find somebody that really would like to help you or really will listen to what it is that you're looking for and can offer some advice to you. So take care and stay positive on that, okay?